The galaxy had long been under the iron grip of the Galactic Empire. For centuries their fleets had sailed through the stars, their warships casting shadows over every planet they touched. The Empire's soldiers were disciplined, ruthless, and seemingly unstoppable. Across thousands of systems, species lived in fear of their might. Entire worlds whispered about the Empire's punishments. Worlds burned, civilizations erased, and anyone who dared to resist was destroyed without mercy. Amid this vast galaxy, humans were considered weak, almost laughably so. Most species thought of them as small, fragile, and primitive. They had watched Earth's broadcasts for a century and decided these creatures could barely hold their own planet, let alone challenge a galactic force. That belief made the humans invisible in the eyes of the Empire, and that would be their greatest weapon. Far beyond the Empire's patrolled sectors, in the dark reaches of uncharted space, a small scout ship drifted silently. Its sensors picked up strange activity near a human colony. The Empire's intelligence officers reported in their cold mechanical tones, "Humans are assembling weapons. Unusual fleet movements detected." The Council of the Galactic Empire met in their golden chamber, high above the capital world. Their eyes were sharp, their expressions filled with arrogance. The word human made them chuckle. "Impossible," said Supreme Chancellor Rykor. "They cannot even maintain one starship. This is nothing but a minor disturbance. Send a fleet to observe, nothing more." Yet as the words left his mouth, a subtle unease crept into the room. Admiral Kalor, one of the Empire's most seasoned commanders, frowned. His claws tapped nervously on the polished metal table. "Chancellor, the reports are consistent. Their weapon stockpiles are massive, more than we expected for such a primitive species." Rykor waved a dismissive hand. "Massive? You exaggerate. Humans have nothing that can harm us. Fears for the weak, Kalor. Leave it alone." But the seed of doubt had been planted. Even the most confident members of the council began to glance at each other, unease flickering in their eyes. Across the galaxy, small whispers had already begun to spread. "Have you heard?" said one officer to another. "Humans, they are not as weak as we thought." In the quiet darkness of deep space, humans prepared silently. On a seemingly ordinary planet in hidden orbital docks, fleets of sleek, unknown starships were being assembled. Their hulls gleamed under the dim light of twin suns. Soldiers trained tirelessly. Engineers worked in perfect unison, and leaders coordinated with calm, steady hands. Every action was purposeful, every movement precise. Yet from the outside, it seemed as if nothing was happening. That was exactly what the humans wanted. Captain Adrian Rain stood on the bridge of one of the hidden human carriers. His eyes scanned the starfield, and a calm determination filled his heart. "They think we are weak," he said softly, almost to himself. "They have underestimated us for centuries. Let them continue. Let them believe what they want. Soon, they will know the truth." Below him, thousands of human soldiers moved like a well-oiled machine. Each one knew that survival was not guaranteed. Each one understood the stakes. And yet fear was absent. In its place, a quiet confidence, a belief in their unity, and an unshakable courage. These humans had faced hardship, starvation, and extinction. They had survived against impossible odds, and now the galaxy would see their strength. Back in the Empire's golden chambers, the Council made plans. Fleets were dispatched to monitor human activity, unaware that every move was being watched, every calculation anticipated. The humans were not hiding out of fear. They were preparing for the moment when the galaxy would finally see what humans were capable of. On a distant moon, a young human pilot, barely 20 years old, tightened her gloves and checked her weapons. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the weight of responsibility. She whispered a small prayer to herself, a tradition from long ago passed down through generations. "We fight not to destroy. We fight to protect." And in that silent moment, somewhere in the void, a scout ship of the Empire drifted closer, unaware of what it had discovered. A small anomaly appeared on its sensors. A fleet larger than expected, more advanced than any human fleet should be. The officer at the console froze, then reported in a shaking voice, "Sir, I think we underestimated them." In the council chambers, Rykor laughed, yet the laugh sounded hollow even to him. Somewhere deep inside, a spark of fear had ignited. Humans, the ones the galaxy had mocked and dismissed, might not be as weak as anyone thought. And far beyond the Empire's reach, humans continued their silent preparation, knowing that one day soon, the galaxy would tremble at their name. The humans waited patiently, hidden in the darkness of space. Their fleets were invisible to the Empire's sensors, concealed by advanced stealth technology and cunning strategy. No one suspected their presence, not even the most seasoned admirals of the Galactic Empire. To the Empire, humanity remained weak, harmless, almost irrelevant. That assumption would soon shatter. At precisely the moment when the Empire's fleets least expected it, the humans struck. The first attack came without warning. Imperial supply stations, scattered across vital sectors, erupted in brilliant explosions that lit the void. Comms arrays went silent. Outposts that had never feared attack crumbled in flames. The galaxy, accustomed to the Empire's unchallenged rule, felt the shock ripple through its stars. Admiral Kalor, stationed aboard one of the Empire's largest warships, could hardly believe his sensors. "Impossible," he muttered, his claws gripping the console so tightly that the metal bent. "This cannot be human work. They are too small, too primitive." Yet every report that flashed on his screen confirmed the truth. Humans had struck, and struck with deadly precision. Across the command bridges of the Empire, confusion spread like wildfire. Officers argued, commanders shouted, and the Council of the Empire demanded explanations. "How could they strike so far so fast?" cried one panicked officer. "We have fleets covering every sector." Another added, "It must be sabotage from within. Humans alone cannot do this." Meanwhile, the humans moved like shadows. Small, agile ships darted through asteroid fields, slamming into Imperial outposts before they could react. Bombs dropped with perfect timing, crippling defenses. Not one human ship was lost, not one human life wasted. Each strike was calculated, precise, almost surgical. Captain Adrian Rains watched the attacks unfold from the bridge of the human flagship. His calm demeanor never wavered, but inside his heart pounded with a mixture of pride and fear. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly to his lieutenant. "They think this is chaos, but it is order. Our order, and when the Empire learns the truth, it will be too late for them to stop us." In the Empire's capital, Chancellor Rykor watched the first reports come in. His face, usually pale with authority, now bore a shade of disbelief. "Humans, this is not possible," he said, shaking his head. The council murmured nervously among themselves. Some refused to believe the data, dismissing it as sensor errors. Others, more honest with themselves, felt a creeping dread they could not name. The human strategy was simple but devastating. They avoided direct confrontation with the Empire's main fleet. Instead, they hit where it hurt most: supply lines, communication hubs, and remote installations that seemed insignificant but were critical to the Empire's operations. With every strike, the humans grew stronger in confidence. With every Imperial loss, fear spread deeper among the enemy ranks. On a distant observation post, a young Imperial cadet stared at the view screen in horror. They're humans?" he stammered, voice trembling. How can such small ships do this?" His commanding officer placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. "They've held back," the officer whispered, voice tight with fear. This is only the beginning. We've not yet seen their real strength." Back on the human flagship, Captain Rains addressed his fleet. "Remember why we fight. Not for glory, not for conquest, but for our homes, for our people, and for every innocent life they have threatened. Strike with precision. Strike with honor. Strike with courage. Let them feel the power of humanity." And strike they did. In a single night, the humans crippled more than the Empire had expected in months. Entire fleets were stranded, unable to move. Communication channels were jammed. Command centers fell silent. Across thousands of systems, the galaxy felt a tremor that was not caused by machines or weapons, but by the courage and brilliance of humans who refused to be underestimated. By the time dawn broke over the Empire's capital, the Council convened an emergency session. The chamber, once filled with confidence and arrogance, now reeked of panic. Raykor's usual authority faltered. This cannot be, he muttered. Humans. They have struck us, and yet it feels controlled. They are not panicking. They are not desperate. They are waiting. Admiral Caller's claws trembled as he looked at the reports again. We have underestimated them, he admitted, his voice low. We thought they were weak. We thought they were primitive. We were wrong. Humans are dangerous. And far beyond the reaches of the Empire, hidden among the stars, the humans prepared for the next phase of their plan. Their first strike had sent shockwaves through the galaxy, but it was only the beginning. They were not there to fight a losing war. They were there to change the rules, to show that no empire, no matter how vast or powerful, could ever underestimate the courage and determination of humanity. The Empire had been shaken, confused, and humiliated. And humans were just getting started. The Empire could no longer ignore the humans. Their first strike had left entire sectors crippled, their communications fractured, and their pride shattered. The Council, trembling behind golden walls, ordered a full response. Admiral Caller was tasked with leading one of the largest fleets in the Empire's history, directly to confront the humans. Every ship bristled with weapons, every soldier tense with anticipation. As Caller's fleet moved through the stars, the humans awaited them. Unlike the Empire, they did not rely on sheer numbers. Their ships were smaller, faster, more maneuverable. Their pilots moved with precision that seemed almost impossible. Humans had studied the Empire for decades, learning their tactics, their weaknesses, and their arrogance. Now it was time to test their courage. Commander Elena Voss, leading one of the human squadrons, gazed at the vast Imperial fleet approaching. Thousands of ships, enormous and deadly, stretched across the horizon like a dark storm. Her heart beat steadily. Fear existed, of course, but it was tempered by determination. Humans had survived against impossible odds before. They would survive again. Captain Adrian Rains stood beside her on the bridge of their flagship. Do not be intimidated, he said softly. They think strength is measured by numbers. They do not understand courage, unity, or heart. Remember why we fight. The first shots were fired. The Empire's heavy warships unleashed torrents of energy, bright beams cutting across the void like deadly lightning. Many human ships were hit, but the energy dissipated against advanced shields and strategic evasive maneuvers. The humans did not panic. Each move was calculated. Every loss was minimized. Every strike was returned with precision. The battle raged for hours. Imperial soldiers used to fear bringing submission were shocked. These humans were fearless. Even when cornered, they countered with intelligence and speed, striking at the weakest points of the Empire's massive vessels. Each successful strike created ripples of doubt among the Imperial commanders. Admiral Caller watched, his claws gripping the edge of his command console. He had seen countless species defeated in war, but humans were unlike any he had ever encountered. They are not just fighting, he muttered, his voice low. They are teaching us. They are showing us what courage truly is. On the human side, soldiers cheered quietly at each victory, not for pride, but for survival. For every destroyed Imperial ship, for every life saved, they felt the pulse of hope. It was not hatred that drove them. It was the desire to protect, to defend their homes, and to prove that humans would never bow to tyranny. During a critical moment, an Imperial dreadnought attempted to break through the human defenses. Its massive energy beams tore into the front line, and many human pilots faltered. Elena Voss took a deep breath, steadying herself. "We are stronger together," she whispered, signaling her squadron. In perfect coordination, the humans split. weaving through enemy fire, striking the dreadnought from angles no Imperial officer had anticipated. The dreadnought faltered. Alarms blared as its engines overheated. It was forced to surrender. Across the fleet, murmurs spread among the humans. They had not just survived, they had won a critical moment against impossible odds. In the Empire's council chambers, panic grew. Officers argued, some blaming poor strategy, others whispering fears that humans had reserves they had not revealed. Chancellor Rykor's usual arrogance faltered. "We have underestimated them," he admitted quietly. This is more than skill. This is resolve. They fight with a strength we cannot measure." Even among the human fleet there was tension. They had won battles, but the war was far from over. Every pilot, every soldier, knew that the Empire would respond with even greater force. Yet they did not waver. Courage was not the absence of fear, it was acting despite it. And humanity had courage in abundance. As the battle drew to a close, both fleets paused. The humans held their ground, battered but undefeated. The Empire, for the first time in centuries, felt doubt. They had faced species after species and crushed them, but humans had faced them head-on and survived. Captain Rains addressed his fleet over the comms. "This is not just a victory. This is a message. We are not weak. We are not primitive. We are humans, and we will never be underestimated." In the darkness of space, as stars twinkled like distant eyes, the Empire began to understand a truth it had long ignored. Courage, heart, and unity could not be measured in fleets or firepower alone. Humans had tested their resolve, and the galaxy had watched in awe. The war was far from over, but for the first time, humanity had shown the Empire that strength was not only in weapons, but in spirit. And the first test had been passed. The galaxy had never witnessed such a battle. The Empire's fleets, massive and powerful, had expected an easy victory. They believed humans would scatter, flee, or surrender, but humans did none of these. They fought with precision, courage, and intelligence that no one had ever imagined. And slowly the tide of the battle began to turn. Admiral Kaller, aboard his flagship, watched in disbelief as his strongest vessels faltered. Imperial ships that had been considered invincible were disabled by the humans' clever strikes. One by one his formations began to collapse. Panic rippled through his fleet. Officers shouted orders, but humans anticipated each move. Every attack was met with counterattack. Every maneuver by the Empire was turned against them. Captain Elena Voss led her squadron through a dense asteroid field, using the terrain to her advantage. She dodged energy beams that could have destroyed her ship instantly. From the safety of her position, she launched a precise strike on an Imperial cruiser. The explosion was magnificent, sending shockwaves across the void. Her crew cheered quietly, not for glory, but for survival, for proving that humanity could stand against the seemingly unstoppable Empire. "Stay focused," Captain Adrian Rains' voice echoed over the fleet's comms. "Remember our training. Remember why we fight. Every strike counts. Every life counts. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." Imperial soldiers, once proud and confident, now felt the weight of fear creeping into their hearts. They had faced countless species, each claiming power, each ultimately crushed by the Empire. But humans were different. They did not hesitate. They did not panic. They were fearless, organized, and united. And worst of all for the Empire, they never gave the enemy the satisfaction of seeing them falter. In a daring move, humans executed a coordinated attack on the Empire's supply lines. Hundreds of transports were destroyed, leaving entire Imperial fleets stranded. Without fuel, ammunition, and repairs, the Empire's advantage of numbers began to shrink. Kaller's claws tightened on the command console. His mind raced. He had studied humans for decades, and yet they were unpredictable, brilliant, deadly, and relentless. During the battle, a massive Imperial dreadnought attempted to break through the human lines, aiming to crush the fleet with sheer size and firepower. Helena Voss and her squadron intercepted it. They moved like shadows, dodging lasers and missiles with impossible agility. Small precise strikes hit the dreadnought again and again, targeting engines, shields, and weapon systems. Slowly, almost impossibly, the giant ship faltered, its systems failing under the humans' relentless assault. Admiral Caller's voice was tense as he spoke to his officers. "This cannot be. Their numbers are so small, yet they fight like titans. How is this possible?" His officers could not answer. Even they had begun to understand a terrifying truth. Humans were not just fighting, they were rewriting the rules of battle. Captain Rains looked out at the battlefield, his eyes calm but intense. "They underestimate us," he said to his second-in-command. "That is their greatest mistake. They do not understand what it means to fight for home, for family, for everything we love. That is our power, and it is unstoppable." Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread among Imperial officers. "Have you seen the humans? How can so few strike with such precision? They are not panicking. I think they have held back. This cannot be their full force." The word spread fear faster than any weapon ever could. By the end of the battle, the humans had not only survived, they had won key victories. Entire Imperial fleets were crippled, vital systems destroyed, and morale shattered. The humans had proven that they were not just fighters. They were strategists, warriors, and masters of the art of war. As the fleets withdrew to regroup, Caller's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "We have underestimated them. We believed them weak. But humans are more than we imagined. And this is only the beginning." On the human flagship, Captain Rains addressed his crew. "Today we have shown the galaxy our strength. But remember, this is not victory yet. We have turned the tide, yes, but the storm is far from over. Hold your courage. Hold your hearts. And hold your faith in one another. Together we are unstoppable." And so the first true turning of the war was complete. Humanity had struck, endured, and triumphed against the mighty Galactic Empire. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the greatest of odds. And the galaxy had begun to tremble. The Empire believed it had seen all of humanity's power. They had been shocked by the precision, the courage, and the relentless attacks of the humans' first strike. Yet the worst was still hidden. Far beyond the battlefield, deep in the uncharted void, lay humanity's true strength, an army unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of ships waited silently, cloaked by advanced technology that made them invisible to every sensor, even the Empire's most sophisticated. These ships were vast and powerful, built not just for battle but for dominance. Each one was a symbol of human ingenuity and perseverance. Engineers had spent decades perfecting them, soldiers training endlessly to operate them with flawless skill. And now, the time had come to reveal them. Captain Adrian Rains stood on the bridge of the flagship, staring at the starfield ahead. "Today," he said quietly yet with unshakable authority, "the Empire will understand what it means to underestimate humans. Not as a species, not as warriors, but as a civilization united in courage and purpose." His words echoed through the fleet, giving every pilot, every soldier, every crew member a sense of destiny. Commander Elena Voss adjusted her controls and prepared her squadron for the signal. They had fought brilliantly so far, but this was different. This was not just a battle, it was the unveiling of humanity's true might. Every pilot felt a surge of pride, every soldier a deep, burning determination. They were about to change the course of history. On the battlefield, Imperial commanders were already struggling to regroup. Their fleets were damaged, morale low, and fear creeping in. Reports of strange energy signatures reached the Council, but no one could interpret them. "Sensors are picking up something massive," one officer stammered. What could it be?" Chancellor Rykor frowned, his voice tight with unease. "Check again. It is impossible. No human fleet could—" Before he could finish, the void around the battlefront shimmered. Out of nowhere, thousands of human ships emerged, vast and gleaming. like a tidal wave of stars descending upon the Empire. Imperial officers froze. Dread filled every heart as they realized the humans had held back their real army. Entire fleets had been lying in wait, patient, disciplined, and now ready to strike. Admiral Caller's claws clenched in disbelief. This is insane, he said, voice trembling. We faced them, and this is only the beginning? Imperial soldiers looked at each other, eyes wide with fear. They had trained their entire lives to face the galaxy's most dangerous enemies, yet nothing had prepared them for this. Captain Rains gave the order. Engage, target every fleet. Disable their command, show them the strength of humanity, and like a storm unleashed, the hidden human army moved with precision, overwhelming the Empire's defenses. Every Imperial ship hit by human fire faltered. Systems failed. Engines exploded. Communication networks were destroyed. The Empire's numerical advantage meant nothing. The humans' strategy, courage, and skill were unstoppable. From the observation deck of the flagship, Elena Voss watched as the battle unfolded. Even the largest Imperial dreadnoughts fell, forced to surrender under the relentless assault of the humans' hidden forces. Every victory was quiet but powerful, a reminder that humanity fought not for conquest, but for survival, for justice, for their right to exist without fear. The Empire's Council convened an emergency, panic now evident in their golden halls. They held back their real fleet? One officer whispered, voice trembling. All this time, they were hiding their true strength. Rekor's face was pale, his usual arrogance gone. Humans, we have underestimated them, and it may cost us everything. Even amidst the chaos, humans remain disciplined. Captain Rains spoke over the comms, voice calm and unwavering. We do not fight to humiliate. We fight to protect. Every ship we disable, every strike we make is not vengeance, it is survival. And we will not stop until the Empire learns respect. Imperial fleets began to falter completely. Entire sectors were cut off. Communication lines were destroyed. Command structures collapsed under the relentless and perfectly coordinated strikes. Fear and disbelief rippled through every officer, every soldier. They realized in that moment that they had not been fighting humans. They had been fighting shadows, and the real force had only now been revealed. As the battle raged, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Humans were no longer the underestimated species of the Outer Rim. They were masters of strategy, courage, and resilience. And as their hidden army struck with deadly precision, one truth became painfully clear. The Empire had never faced anything like this. Humanity had arrived, not as underdogs, not as victims, but as a force capable of reshaping the stars. And in that moment, deep in the council chambers of the Empire, one voice whispered in disbelief. You mean, humans held back their real army? The galaxy would never forget that day. The galaxy trembled as humanity's hidden fleet struck with relentless precision. Imperial fleets, once confident and proud, were now scattered, disabled, and in chaos. The Empire's soldiers had trained for centuries to dominate, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Humans did not merely fight. They adapted, anticipated, and overcame. Captain Adrian Rains stood on the bridge of the flagship, calm and focused. Every crew member knew the stakes. Every pilot, engineer, and soldier understood that failure was not an option. Yet fear was absent, replaced by courage and determination that burned brighter than any weapon. We fight not just to survive, Rains said quietly over the comms. We fight to protect everything we love. We fight to show the galaxy who we are. Humanity will never bow. Commander Elena Voss piloted her squadron through the chaos of battle, weaving between massive Imperial dreadnoughts and smaller cruisers with grace and precision. Her heart pounded, but not from fear. Each pulse reminded her of what was at stake: her homeworld, her family, and the countless innocents the Empire had oppressed. With every precise strike, every ship she saved, she felt the power of human unity. They were stronger together, and the galaxy would witness it. Imperial officers were stunned. They coordinate perfectly, one whispered. Every attack, every movement, they anticipate us. Admiral Caller's voice was tense, his claws clenched on the command console. They are not just fighting, he muttered. They are teaching us what true courage is. For the first time in centuries, fear had crept into the hearts of the Empire's finest. A massive Imperial dreadnought attempted to break through the human lines, its engines roaring and weapons blazing. Thousands of humans fought back, striking at its weak points with relentless precision. Elena Voss's squadron executed a daring maneuver, striking the dreadnought's engines while Rains coordinated simultaneous attacks on its shields and weapon systems. Slowly, the once mighty ship faltered, unable to continue its assault. It surrendered, not out of mercy but because humanity had shown its unmatched skill and courage. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread among Imperial officers and soldiers. They are not panicking. They are not desperate. They are resolved. They are humans. The words spread fear faster than any weapon. Humans had endured hardships, poverty, and extinction-level threats, yet here they were, undaunted, united, and unwavering. On the flagship, Captain Rains addressed the entire human fleet. Today we fight not for glory, he said. We fight for every life the Empire has tried to control. We fight for the right to exist, for the right to stand proud and free. Every ship we save, every battle we win, proves that humanity is unstoppable when united. Elena Voss looked out at the battlefield and saw the impossible. Human squads striking with flawless coordination, smaller ships disabling massive warships, every crew member performing beyond expectation. She felt pride swelling in her chest. They were proving a truth older than time. Courage, heart, and unity could overcome even the greatest odds. Imperial fleets began to collapse entirely. Supply lines were destroyed, fleets stranded, communication disrupted. The once mighty Empire was forced to retreat in disarray. For centuries, no enemy had dared challenge them with such effectiveness. Yet humans were not only surviving, they were breaking the Empire. Even as victory seemed within reach, humans did not become reckless. Discipline remained. Every strike was precise, every movement deliberate. They fought not for hatred or vengeance, but with the clarity of purpose that comes from defending everything worth protecting. Humanity's strength was not in weapons alone. It was in their courage, their unity, and their unwavering resolve. Back in the Imperial Council chambers, panic was now panic and disbelief combined. Rikor's voice shook as he spoke. They are not just a species. They are a force unlike anything we have ever faced. They fight with heart, with courage, and with unity. We underestimated them, and it may cost us everything. By the time the battle slowed, the Empire had suffered unprecedented losses. Ships lay in ruins, fleets stranded, and morale shattered. Humanity, on the other hand, held firm. Not a single human ship had surrendered. Not a single human soldier had wavered in courage. They had demonstrated a power that the galaxy would never forget. Captain Rains looked at the stars, now dotted with Imperial wreckage, and spoke softly to his crew. We have done more than survive. We have shown the galaxy our strength, but this war is not yet over. Hold your courage, hold your hearts, and hold your faith in one another. Together, nothing can stop us. And as the humans regrouped, the galaxy began to realize a simple, terrifying truth. Humanity was not just strong, clever, or skilled. Humanity was unstoppable when united by purpose and courage. The Empire had underestimated them once. But now, no one in the galaxy could ever doubt the strength of the human spirit. The galaxy had never known such fear. The Empire, once proud and unchallenged, now lay in chaos. Fleets were shattered, command centers destroyed, and morale broken. Everywhere, officers whispered in disbelief. Humans, they are unstoppable. For centuries, no species had dared oppose the Empire so directly. And yet, humans not only opposed, they had dominated. Captain Adrian Rains stood on the bridge of the flagship, calm and resolute. His eyes scanned the remnants of the Imperial fleets. Every ship they disabled was a symbol of humanity's courage, intelligence, and unity. He addressed his crew over the comms. This is not the time to celebrate. This is the time to prove why humanity survives, thrives, and leads. Every move we make must be precise. Every strike must be measured. We fight not for revenge, but to protect all that we love. Commander Elena Voss led her squadron into the final phase of the battle. Imperial dreadnoughts, large and terrifying, advanced toward the human lines. Their weapons blazed, cutting paths of fire through the void. But the humans did not panic. They moved as one, weaving through destruction with skill that seemed almost impossible. Every strike counted, every maneuver deliberate. On board the flagship, Captain Rains coordinated with astonishing precision. Smaller human ships flanked the massive Imperial vessels, striking weak points while larger ships delivered devastating firepower. Imperial officers could only watch in disbelief as their strongest ships faltered under the coordinated assault of the humans' hidden fleet. The Empire's council convened in emergency, panic evident in their golden chambers. Chancellor Rykor's voice shook with tension. We have underestimated them," he whispered. "We faced them thinking they were weak. And now we see the truth. Humans are not just a species. They are a force that cannot be measured by numbers alone." Imperial soldiers, once confident, now faced fear like never before. Entire fleets had been destroyed, vital systems disabled, and their morale shattered. No one dared stand against the humans with certainty. Even the bravest generals hesitated, realizing too late that courage alone could not overcome the precision, intelligence, and determination of humanity. Elena Voss's squadron struck at the flagship of the Imperial fleet. With every blast, the massive warship shuddered and faltered. Its shields, thought impenetrable, crumbled under relentless coordinated attacks. Engineers scrambled to stabilize failing systems, but the humans were unrelenting. They had learned, adapted, and anticipated every move. From the observation deck, Rains watched the Empire's last attempts to regain control. His voice was calm, almost serene. "This is what it means to fight with heart. This is what it means to fight as humans." As the battle reached its climax, humans executed a final devastating maneuver. They encircled the remaining Imperial fleet, cutting off retreat and leaving no escape. Imperial ships surrendered one by one, their crews staring in awe and fear at the species they had once dismissed. The humans did not gloat. They offered mercy, yet their strength and resolve spoke louder than words ever could. In the council chambers, one voice finally broke the silence, trembling with disbelief. "You mean humans held back their real army?" The question echoed, filled with awe, terror, and a reluctant respect. The truth had been revealed. Humanity was not merely strong, they were masters of courage, strategy, and resilience. The Empire had been humbled before a species it had long considered weak. Captain Rains addressed the galaxy through a universal comm channel. "We fight not to conquer. We fight not to destroy. We fight to protect, to defend, and to ensure that no being, no world, no life is ever threatened by oppression again. Humanity is strong because we are united. We are strong because we fight for hope, for justice, and for every star in this galaxy." Across the cosmos, species watched in awe. Entire worlds that had feared the Empire now whispered hope. If humans could challenge and defeat the greatest power in the galaxy, then perhaps no darkness was too deep, no force too strong, and no oppression unstoppable. Back on the battlefield, humans regrouped. They were battered, tired, but undefeated. Their courage had reshaped the galaxy's understanding of strength. Humanity had proven that numbers and firepower were meaningless without heart, unity, and resolve. Adrian Rains turned to his crew, a rare smile crossing his face. "We have shown the Empire what it means to underestimate humans. But this is only the beginning. Let the galaxy remember today, the day courage, intelligence, and unity overcame tyranny. Let every species remember that humans do not bow, do not flee, and do not surrender." And so the Empire trembled. Fleets that once seemed invincible were shattered. Commanders who had ruled with arrogance now faced the undeniable truth. Humanity could not be underestimated. The galaxy would never be the same. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter that day, as if witnessing the rise of a species that had proven that courage, heart, and unity were the ultimate power. Humanity had fought, survived, and triumphed, not just with weapons but with spirit. And in every corner of the galaxy, one thought spread like fire: humans were unstoppable.